Hey everybody,
Hi everyone.
Mr. and Mrs. Traveler here,
Hi.
and welcome to Tip Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. It's 90 degrees today.
Very hot. It's almost to pool season.
Almost there. This is our winter.
All right, everybody. So thank you so much for joining us today. It's a beautiful, sunny Central Florida day,
It is.
and we're wishing you all much warmth and happiness.
Yes, it hasn't been a hard winter at all for us, but we are thinking about the people up north because it snowed yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, today, guys, we want to talk to you about which cabin is right for you.
That's right. We're going to make sure we do all the information that you need today. And if you need more information, just comment below and we can answer the questions for you.
So we did this video because we want to help you make an informed decision when booking your cruise. And even if you're using a travel professional or some other means of booking your travel, these are always good to know. That way when you call, you kind of know in advance what you're going to need or what you're thinking about getting.
9 times out of 10, when we get a call, the first thing they say is, where are you going to put me? Well, we're going to answer all those questions for you today.
Probably for the vast majority of you out there, most of everybody either gets in 3 categories: an interior, an ocean view, or a balcony. So just real quickly to break that down for you guys, interior cabin is a cabin for the most part with no windows. It has the same necessities that the other cabins have. Of course, there's a bed, varying number of beds in there, your television, your wardrobe usually, the full-size bathroom, the closets, and you know, the typical cabin fares in there. Sometimes these can be a little bit smaller than the other cabins, and you know, that's kind of misleading when you say smaller than the other cabins. It's generally not that much smaller.
No.
I mean, you may be talking about 10 to 15 square feet, or even the same size as some of the other cabins.
It looks the same to me.
Yeah. So the ocean view cabins, that would be a cabin that will have a view to the outside world, typically a porthole or some kind of a picture window in your cabin.
Yes. Those are the ones that you can see outside. You can actually see the ocean. You can see how fast the ship is going.
Yeah. It's nice to let a little light in if you may feel a little claustrophobic from the interior cabins, or you just don't want to be in a lot of darkness and stuff. It's good to have the light in there. And finally, the balcony cabins are usually much like the ocean views in terms of size and everything, but these have a doorway that goes out to your own private balcony.
Yes, we love balconies. Once you go balconies, you never go back.
Yeah, once you go balcony, warning, you will be spoiled. That's a fact.
That's right.
All right, so let's get into the considerations for which cabin is right for you. And later on in the video, we'll discuss some different cabin types, some special cabin types that will be kind of out of the norm from the ones we just mentioned here. So I think the first consideration, while some people may say price, that may be so, but I think the first consideration is going to be the size of what you need. And when I say size is how many people are traveling with you in your cabin. If it's 2 people, 1, 2, 3, 4 people, some of the cruise ships allow 5 people in there. That's going to be a big consideration for you in how the room is configured. And so, you know, and here's some of the differences. You can fit 4 people in an interior cabin, and there are different bedding configurations depending on what cruise line you're in or what type of cabin you're in. So you can get a, let's say 4 people are going into an interior cabin. You can get some of the cabins with 2 separate beds down on the ground level, and then you may have the 3rd bed is the sofa, which alters as a bed. And then there may be a 4th bed that pulls out of the ceiling or the wall. Option is actually having an actual trundle bed put into the room, which is a bed that they roll into the room. Not super comfortable. I would try to stay away from that if you can.
It's more like a cot.
But just so you know, when we book people, when they have up to 4 people in the cabin, I mean, we'll book whatever you want to book, but we always recommend with 4 people in the cabin, I would go for a balcony. If it fits within your budget, simply because it's really nice to be able to open that door.
Open the door.
You get some fresh air. You know what I mean?
Yes, especially when you're traveling with grandma and grandpa, and you have little ones with you as well. It seems like it's just more room with the balcony.
Yeah, it kind of gives you an extra sense of space, right? So somebody may be getting ready, and you could go out on the balcony and sit out there and kind of watch the world go by.
Sure.
So it just kind of gives you some different options. And so within those categories of interior ocean view balcony and some of the other specialty cabin types that we're going to talk about, they offer varying sizes. So some of the cruise lines will have what will be called different things that will be called a family ocean view,
Yes.
or a family interior, or a large interior, or a large ocean view, large balcony. They have larger versions of those particular cabins, which would be obviously more room, a little bit more comfort for you all to get around. So if you're not going to do the balcony option, I would recommend at least doing those, because if you've ever been on a cruise and looked into somebody's cabin when they've had 4 people, an interior cabin with 4 people, you're like, man, how did they squeeze everybody in there?
But you have to realize you're never in a cabin. There's always something to do on the cruise, so keep that in consideration as well.
Absolutely. I think the next consideration to take into consideration is the location of the cabin.
Yeah, where you want to be on the ship.
This is probably the most important aspect that we take into consideration for our business. When we book other people, we always look at those I keep saying balcony. See, when you go balcony, you never go back. Once we're looking at those cabins that people have, regardless of what type of cabin it is, we always ask ourselves this question: would we want this cabin?
That's when our expertise come in. That's why you should call a travel agent or give us a call, because we can place you where you want to be placed, and we also have experience to put you where you need to be put.
Yes. And we've been on so many of these ships that we know them inside and out.
Yes.
So the location certainly is important, but sometimes for different reasons. Some people can't walk that far, so it's important to be near an elevator, but not too close where you hear the noise. Or they need to be maybe a little bit higher up on the ship where they're closer to the restaurant, the buffet, and that kind of thing. So those are things that to take into consideration. Also know that interiors, for the most part, can be anywhere on the ship, from the lowest decks all the way up to the highest decks. And they're typically in the center of the ship. Ocean views on a lot of ships, and the majority of the ocean views tend to be on the lower decks. So your decks 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4. Now some of the ships do have ocean views on the higher floors. The Oasis class will be a good example of this.
Yes.
They have ocean views on a lot of the floors going all the way up. But once you get past the bottom floors, once you get to the higher floors, the ocean views are like all the way to the front of the ship. So you'll have a forward-facing view. A couple of the cabins do have a little small view of the side, while a lot of the cabins have a forward-facing view. So you're a little bit more limited with your options with the ocean view. You're either really low, or you're going to be at the front of the ship looking forward as what the captain would see. And then balconies can be all over they usually start the middle of the ship or so, and then you go all the way up.
On the Oasis class, it's not a bad cabin anywhere on the ship, in my opinion.
That's right. All right, so then let's get to one of the big ones here, considerations for what cabin should you choose. And obviously that's going to be, what's your budget?
Yes, you want to stick to your budget, but then you want to be comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. So you always want to go into a vacation with a realistic budget for you and your family. You don't want to stress yourself out with your finances at home, but you also don't want to go too chintzy where you don't really have a good time either, or you're uncomfortable.
Right, you in the back corner, way in the back. You don't want that.
So you want to find a delicate balance there for you and your family. So the budget's important. So when you start doing your research or getting your quotes from your travel professional, that would be your travel professional. When you start getting that information, you can kind of make some decisions at that point. Well, this is a little expensive, or yeah, you know what, this one is not as much as I thought. Maybe I can do something a little bit more. Let's look at that. Get what you kind of want to get what you want. You don't want to necessarily sacrifice and get something that you don't want. Maybe you need to just save up for a couple more months before you do it. I don't know. There's a lot of considerations to take into account. For instance, our Mediterranean cruise coming up. It was a wildly different price between the ocean view and interiors to go to a balcony.
Yes, this is our group cruise that Mr.
Wow.
was talking about.
Wildly different. Very different. So we have an ocean view. I mean, we love balconies, and I would love to be in the Mediterranean for 2 weeks with a balcony, but I cannot justify spending 4 times the amount of money that we paid for an ocean view. There's no way.
No. I think you have to make sure that you can have fun in your budget.
Absolutely.
You don't want it to be a struggle for your vacation. It'll get real stressful real quick.
Because you want to have the spending money to go to these places and everything.
That's
so
right.
you have to take that into consideration as well.
So we decided to budget down.
Right.
Because it's so far and it costs so much money. This is our good cruise.
So we're going to be in the ocean view. Now I'm going to be looking at the balconies like,
It's okay. We can always get up on that.
man, I wish I had a balcony. Don't I do it every time?
Yes, you do.
So it doesn't happen often when they don't get a balcony, but it happened to us before on Adventure of the Seas we went on, and it was such a huge, it was like $600 per person difference
That was quite a bit.
to go to a balcony, and we had to fly to San Juan to meet the ship and all that stuff.
So that's another expense.
So for us, it wasn't worth it because that $600 would pay for our airfare. You know, then the other $600 would be, you know, spending money on board the ship. So I can't justify spending $1,200 extra dollars just to be on the balcony.
Right. You have to consider your budget, consider where you're going, what's your expenses, airfare, spending money, and are you coming with other people, and that way you can budget down and see exactly how much money you want to spend on that particular cabin. How much time would you spend inside the cabin too as well?
Yeah. And when you look at it, having more than 2 people in the cabin, usually the price for the 3rd and 4th passenger does go way down dramatically, way down. So it is budget friendly to put 4 people in the cabin. But sometimes if you can squeeze out the budget, it's nice to get 2 cabins and put them side by side. Many times we've had families where they have the teenagers and then the mom and dad.
Sure.
And you know, mom and dad want a balcony, but kids ain't getting no balcony.
No, kids get interior.
So we'll put the parents in a balcony, and then across the hall, the interior.
Yes.
Or
We've done that many times.
Or people have gone from 4 people in a balcony to 2 people in 2 cabins, interiors, for the same budget.
Yeah. Or there's family members that don't want to be bothered, so one cabin is down the hall and the other cabin is on the other floor down the hall. We can do that too.
We do that too. So I think that's, you know, obviously price is very important to most people, and and getting that fit in your budget is most important. So take all those things into consideration when finding the right cabin for you. So our final consideration that we're going to talk about in this video is, where are you going? What's the weather going to be like?
What's the destination? How's the weather?
Right. Do you really need a balcony? You want one, but do you really need one? Example. There are a lot of cruises that come to the Bahamas and the Caribbean from New York. And the ship spends 2 days down, 2 days up in a cold weather environment.
Right.
You're not going to have that balcony open because it's cold.
Nope.
And you're not going to be out on there because it's cold. So do you need a balcony?
No. Not unless you really you love the scenery.
Yeah. And, you know, sometimes we see cruises like that where the ocean view is just a few dollars less than a balcony. You know, now if it's $100 per person to go from an ocean view up to a balcony, I'm going to do it no matter what.
Sure.
You know, that's just a no-brainer. But if that's a consideration for you, I mean, you know, why spend it if you're not going to use it?
True. Or if you want to Alaska or Canada, Vancouver, you have to consider the balconies because it's always cool there.
Well, you have to consider the balconies also, not because it's cool, but then what about the beautiful scenery?
Right. You might see a whale.
A lot of people like having the balconies on Alaska, even though it may be a little cool at times, but they have a private viewing area of the wildlife going by, and I can see where that would be a huge advantage.
I agree.
So those are things to keep in mind too, and I guess maybe if you're doing like a transatlantic or something like that also, where you get out in the middle of the Atlantic and it gets kind of chilly, do you need a balcony?
Right.
You know,
but if you in the summer and you're going somewhere hot, your destination is just off the chain where it's 104, 110. Yeah, I'll definitely take a balcony for that.
Well, then that's another case too, because what if it's too hot? Some people don't like it too hot.
Some people don't like it hot.
So they won't. Cool weather. So they wouldn't enjoy the balcony.
No. If you're a person that loves cold air conditioning, you may not like a balcony. going to a hot destination. But it really depends on the destination.
Guys, we'd like to leave you with, we're going to talk about a few different specialty type of cabins that kind of are niche and fit in between the categories here. So some of the ships out there, some of the newer ships in particular, have what are called virtual interior. They do call them balconies on some of the ships, but they're virtual interior cabins. And a very cool design. We actually saw, we were able to see one on the Encore when we were on there. In the solo cabins, they had the feature. But it's a live camera feed inside your cabin on the wall.
It looks like a window. So
it looks like a window, absolutely. So it looks like you're looking outside and can see what the ship sees as it's going by. So you get to see the ship sailing, or when you're in port, it has live feed from the port and everything. So you kind of feel like you're still getting that.
Very upscale technology.
I think some of the ones on Royal Caribbean, like the Anthem and the Seas and stuff, they actually even have curtains around them or something to that effect too. So
awesome.
It actually feels like a window. Another specialty type of cabin on the Oasis class ships are the neighborhood balconies.
Oh yeah, those are really fun.
So you can get a balcony, but on the interior portion of the ship, the interior portion of the ship is open up to the elements still. But you can get like a Central Park balcony, which looks a balcony, but you're looking down into the Central Park region.
It looks
neighborhood.
Like as if you're looking into a garden.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's so pretty.
And the boardwalk balconies look down on the boardwalk area of the ship. You can also get a glimpse of the water behind the ship. Really good view of the Aqua show.
Yes.
Aqua Theater back there. And so those options usually are less expensive than the ocean view balconies for the most part. So it's a good option if you want to get something where you get some fresh air in the cabin and pay a little bit less money. And on the same note, there's a lot of ships that have promenades on different cruise lines. They'll have interiors with bay windows that look inside the ship. So you'll have a long corridor inside the ship where you have the shops and the restaurants and things like that on the interior of the ship. And you look up and you'll see windows, and those windows are cabins, and they have a view looking down.
I love those. I'll take those too.
Yeah, they're nice. You have to be careful with your privacy.
Yeah, that's the only thing. People can see right across from you. Sometimes if you close your blinds, and then people can look up and they can see if you have the blinds open with the lights on. They can see everything. But
they're usually a very affordable option. They're usually not very much more than the interiors.
Right. And
it kind of still gives you some outdoor feel.
Yeah, it does.
Another option, and this is still an ocean view balcony, but what they're considered to be aft balconies. So this is a balcony that would be at the very back of the ship, facing.
See the trail.
Yeah, facing backwards.
Absolutely backwards.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can see one of my favorite places on a ship is watching the trail go.
That's Mr. Traveler's favorite.
You get to see where you came from, right?
Yes, such a long line. Wow, how did the ocean make that line?
Yeah, it amazes me how you can see your track in the water, right? It's kind of crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah. So aft view balconies, and they're generally more of a price point than ocean view balconies. They're considered a premium cabin. Usually they have very large balconies.
Yes.
And their cabins may be a little bit larger as well. So, but they're nice. So you could actually sit at the back of the ship and just look at the world from the back.
Can enjoy it. It makes you feel more intimate back there.
And then finally, guys, all the ships have handicap accessible cabins, and they have them to different degrees. There are some where people have limited mobilities, and so there'll be things like bars in the shower.
No steps in the room.
Well, that's what I said. The fully accessible cabins have no steps.
Okay.
So if you have a wheelchair, you can roll right into the bathroom, roll right into the cabin, roll right out into the balcony if you've got one. So those are fully accessible. And then they have the ones that are partially accessible or restricted movement. Like I said, they have the bars and things like that people can hold on to assist them in whatever they're doing. So if they use a wheelchair sometimes, they just have limited mobility. Those are great cabins.
They are.
So every ship has those, and they all each have their different rules for how to book them. But they usually have to fill out a form or something saying what's going on with you, because they are limited supply. They want to make sure the people that actually need those are the people that are going into those. So
if you liked our video and you found that it was very interesting and you feel like it's time for you to set sail, make sure you call us 877-697-4470, or you can reach us online at www.mr-traveler.com, and we'll be more than happy to accommodate you, and we can go ahead and fulfill that dream of sailing the seas.
And of course, guys, without forgetting to mention this, of course, there are suites on every ship. And they run from junior suites to
all the way up to penthouse.
Mini suites, penthouse suites, owner suites, captain suites.
Oh my goodness, so many.
And there are so many different variations and all kind of crazy
What
configurations.
What's included, the amenities, and so many things.
Loft suites on the Oasis class with two-story.
Oh my gosh.
Two-story suites, or suites at the front with floor-to-ceiling windows. They have a panoramic view.
Whatever
I mean, there are so many different classes of suites out there, which are great and awesome too, and usually come with some really nice perks. So that is another option too. And of course, guys, this is not an exhaustive list of all the different cabin types out there. There's so many, especially with all the new ships coming out. They've got all kind of, everybody's trying to outdo each other. So hey, I tell you what, guys, comment below. Tell us what's your favorite kind of cabin.
Yes, what would you prefer? Would you like to sell? This is for the veterans who always sell. Our audience are veteran sellers. We are cruise lovers. And comment below, let us know what's your favorite type of room.
And if we didn't mention the cabin type listed below too, let us know.
Yeah.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you all so very much.
Thank you so much for watching. Life short.
Have fun.
See the world.
See you.
Bye everyone.
Bye.